wanted to turn photography into a major just because career-wise I wanted to do something that I would enjoy. You know, whether or not this ever becomes my full-blown career, like just photography, or if I just become like a communications, like media person in general, I wanted to do something that I would love, you know, and be passionate about like my whole life. You know, I feel like, you know, if you're not doing something you love, then why are you doing it? Up until this year, I did a lot of nature photography. I did a lot of product stuff. And then after taking a digital photography course here, I actually started working with like models and people more.
I think some of the images that are of greatest interest to me is the way she photographs people. She has an ability to connect with them, and you can see that connection through the photograph. And I think that's very important and also difficult for many photographers to get to that place where they can break barriers and actually say something about the individual as opposed to just showing us what they look like.
It's kind of funny because at one point models, I was horrified of doing any kind of model work with people just because like you don't know like, you know, how to get the emotions out, but recently that's like become my favorite thing. I just did a shoot that was themed was pain. So I actually shot with my friend Natalie, and I really liked it. We went to a graveyard and we did like very gothic, very like morbid, but it's also very like emotional because like the best thing about working with her is like she's very intense with like her eyes. So like I can direct her, but then she really like pulls it out. Another one I did like a punk rock type thing with my best friend Rachel, and she's also very like an intense person. So like I think I just like working with people the most, just because it's very you get more out of it. You know, it's not just, you know, nature. It's not just, you know, there's an emotion behind it. I think you can have emotion in nature, but it's a different kind of emotion with people. It's like a direct connection. You can look at a person and you can look at them and you can think, oh, I've been in that position. I can understand, like you connecting with the photo a little bit more. And it's not so much that you don't connect with nature, but I think people really like pull it out of one another. I think the thing that like inspired me the most is like, I always like seeing like ordinary things and then finding a weird way to make them, I guess, like extraordinary or different, or like, you know, whether it be like abstracting something. I love lighting. I'm very like, I like moody lighting, you know, very like intense, whether it's backlit or, you know, harsh shadows. I like the play of light, but then I also like, you know, I started exploring motion recently. I shot the Sacred Heart dance show, and I actually did some abstract stuff where you can see the full motion of like their arms and stuff, and they don't necessarily look like dancers, but they capture like the movement. I look for the good light, but then I look for what I can do like in the light, you know, or with what's around me and like shapes and, you know, everything like that. And I think that's where like the background in traditional art comes in handy, because it literally just directly translates right over.
I think the real reason that I find that Gianna stands out above other students is because she brings a passion to her photography that I don't see often. She seemed to connected to photography in a way that she's found her voice, and that's very important to me as a teacher, that a student can find the tool and use it to say things that are important.
I like that I can translate my artistic ability into something different, you know, where you're working with lighting and contrasting and shadows, you know, but it's not just with paintbrushes anymore, it's with like the real like world. And I think it's kind of cool because it brings like a different element to it. And I think that's what kind of drives my passion, is it's not just pen and paper or pencil and paper anymore. It's physical, real world like stuff. I think if I had to give myself advice, and I think I do give myself this advice a lot, you tend to compare yourself to other people, you know, like, oh, like I'm not at that stage of so-and-so is, you know, already, you know, doing this and doing that. And I think like artists need to like stop comparing themselves to other artists and just focus on yourself and like, you know, appreciate what what you're doing, and like, you know, don't belittle your own work just because, you know, you might not be at the level of someone else. And being like a mostly self-taught artist, until the past, like I really didn't start learning anything serious probably like 2 years ago. You know, that was like a really big struggle for me. I was always comparing myself to like other people. And I think the biggest thing is like just not to take your own work for granted. You should appreciate what you can do and be like proud of what you can do.